Hello and a beautiful morning to everybody out there. This is Daybreak Africa on KAFTAN television, where we imagine a beautiful world. My name is Miracle Odunayo.
And yes, my name as usual is Ikhonede Joshua Yodeji. You're welcome once again to Daybreak Africa from our studio in Ondo State, which happens to be the sunshine state of the nation, even though this period is very rainy.
The sun is not shining.
The sun shines during the afternoon, like brutal
well,
sun.
yeah.
But in the morning.
In the morning.
Or the night.
At night. No, that cold weather is not for me.
All right, welcome back to the show. If just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa, and yes, it's time to go straight to our discussions for today. Today we're looking at a very topical issue in Nigerian polity as we speak. It's one of the most trending issues because of the comment sections, particularly, especially if you're following through the news story and many discourse from quarters. So we're looking at discussing it today on Daybreak Africa. We're looking at the fact that the federal government is planning to use AI to improve our database, that is, use AI to track poor people within the country so that they can extend governmental policies for interventions towards them, especially 15 million households in the target, making it maybe 75 million people in total. And this came according to the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, that is Netawe Yiwakda, says the federal government is using artificial intelligence to identify poor Nigerians residing in urban slums. He was speaking in a popular program recently. The minister said AI has enabled the expansion of the National Social Register. He added that the register, which initially targeted only the rural poor, has grown from 13 million to 19.7 million. But then we are going to look at this holistically, because many Nigerians have come out to talk about the fact that this doesn't seem genuine, this doesn't seem sincere, this seems like just someone trying to just say something and all that. But then we are going to look at the genuinity of this. So that is why we bring in a tech entrepreneur actually to the studio, someone who is very, very involved in the place of tech. He's also a public affairs analyst in the person of Samson Fadele. Welcome to the show, Samson.
Thank you for
Welcome
having
to the
me.
show. Thank you for coming on.
I'm liking the cap, I'm liking the shoes,
It's
the
giving.
naked, and everything is giving. Yeah.
It's giving.
That's the main statement, actually.
Yeah.
You are actually looking like our minister here.
Okay.
But then let me ask straight, Samson, let me ask straight.
Okay.
You are a tech person.
Yes.
Now, the first time you heard the fact that AI is going to be used to track
Poor people.
the poor people, especially in urban slums, according to the minister, what was your take on this particular initiative?
Well, I know for a fact that AI, no matter how improved it is, cannot act on its own capacity without a database. There must be a source of information. Then there must be a benchmark, a yardstick to measure poverty. Then that will give the AI an ability to identify people who fell into that category.
Yeah.
Then you'll be able to pick them and say, okay, these are the people so far in this area, maybe a particular geographical location. Then be able to pick them and say, these are the people who fell below the standard, the yardstick, or people who fell into this category. So the yardstick could be anything. It could be standard of living, it could be income. Let's say like monthly income can be used to measure the poverty level. Let's say if you make less than 50k in a month as a family, as an household, we can then regard such an household as
poor.
Poor.
Living below the poverty line. Or a family that makes less than 70k being the minimum wage or something. So if that is possible and there is a database where all of them, everybody that is considered like they have their information, and AI can then be instructed to sieve out people who fell below the poverty line, which is very possible. Statistics, any statistical tool can do that. You don't even need the advanced or most advanced of the AI. If you have a good database, you have in fact Excel could do that. If you have a good database, information well placed on Excel, tell it to filter out people below this line, it will.
So now we know Nigeria.
So it's possible.
Nigeria doesn't have such database. Let's be
You have accurate database.
Let's begin to look at it from this perspective, because even if the government wants to do that, it has to be in stages. So let's say something like IPPIS. can be used. You know, the information of federal government workers are already on IPPIS.
Yes, yeah, the system.
Now, such a database is a very good place to start. Saying anybody earning below 100K in the chain
Is the poor of the poor.
the AI can then identify them as poor. Because I don't know, I cannot say specifically what 100K is able to buy you for a whole month in this current economy.
No.
So, and there are a lot of people who are making less than 100K. In fact, minimum wage is still less than 100K.
It's 70,000
So,
actually.
now, tell me. So, if we are starting by that, but that will only be possible for federal government workers. So, what happens to state workers and
Local government
workers? So, that means each state, we have to create a platform like IPPIS where they will now have all their workers, you know. Then the database can now be transferred to the federal government. The federal government can then use their said AI to filter out those below the poverty line so that they can reach out to them. So if they are having that for 36 states, that means for 709 or 700 and whatever local government we have,
local government, yeah.
we will have to do that as well. Then send the database to the humanitarian affair where their said AI can then filter out the people below poverty line and they can reach out to them. But that will be for those who
That
are
are
employed by the
government.
3 tiers of government.
Exactly.
Now, what happens to
Private sectors,
who are not working
business people,
with the
entrepreneurs.
government? The entrepreneurs, the people working in the private sector, the people, you know, apprentice, those who
Artisans.
Yeah.
the apprentice
The
who do not have their own
market
businesses already, they are not even making money, and they have to live, they have to survive.
There are even some living on fake life.
Yes.
If you go to Lagos, they rent all of them rent same houses together.
Houses.
And
they just
pack all of them,
pack all of
they
them,
stay,
stay
in that,
together and all that.
all those things, I can bet with you, without a very stable database, they cannot be. And you see, the NIN that we have does not have information about income.
Yes.
So we cannot use the NIN to say this person on your NIN. It is not even it is not even stated whether you are a worker
Or
or
not.
a federal government worker or you work in the. So they don't even have your work information on the NIN.
But I think the number on it can bring out your information.
Your information, the one that you have put
Uploaded,
maybe in bank. So now the BVN can be used to probably track your income over the last few months.
Yeah.
So now they just take
But
all
how
your
many Nigerians actually have bank accounts? Because
now for those that have, if they are able to now use the asset AI to monitor the BVN of the vast majority who have, and then shift all your account for over the last 2 months for every bank that you have, and they are now looking at, okay, this one, if you want to get that.
What about the older people that don't like using bank?
The issue
What will
is,
you do?
even with those, except for maybe those who are pensioners who already have their information with banks, and there are some who do not have information with banks for real.
Yes.
And those ones, they will have to like apply another method entirely
yeah.
to sort them.
That's
But
a lot.
personally, I am still not convinced with what the minister said, because looking at what we just explained now, it will take a lot of
years. We have never
no,
done.
it might not necessarily take years, but it will take a lot of information.
Information gathering.
Yes, they have to gather a lot of data, because the AI will only be able to work based on the data provided. AI does not have, how is AI coming to your house to now say you are poor, you are poor, you are poor? No, that's not how it works. Something must be fed into the AI
To know.
to now generate a result for you. So even if you are going to give a prompt to the AI, it will be based on available information. So what the minister is saying, maybe they might now need to invite him again and tell him to elaborate
What's on his
how
mind?
they intend to now use
The AI.
with the data available. They might have a way, actually. We're just talking about it, but they actually might have a way. Like what is said is not something impossible, it is very possible. But what we are concerned is what we are concerned about is how they want to use it and the information available
for the AI
that will aid the use of AI.
Because you know why I asked this question majorly, because we know Better Haidu used to be there in charge of the humanitarian affairs before she was, hoisted out of though she still lingers around the presidency and all that, but she's not actually having a portfolio and all that. And we know the amount of the level of corruption leveled against her in that department. Buhari used to have people too in that when he was president. I think Jonathan to have people like that when he was president. And they say sometimes they would just come out and say, we've given this amount of people money. We gave the poor of the poorest, we gave them, and I'm looking like the poor of the poorest. And you're looking at your right and your left.
You're not seeing anybody who benefited.
Like, which of you collected this money and refused to
the poor of the poorest?
Where is the evidence? Because we are not seeing evidence. We are seeing money going.
There's one thing I know about Nigerians. Nigerians are loud people.
One.
They are very loud. If it happens today, Twitter will be filled up before the end of the day.
Yes.
I'm telling you, this is, even if they are not the one who got it directly, content creators, they just want something to put online. If that had been happening for real, one way or the other, content creators would have find their ways into all those things. Because for real, we have one journalist this person just collected 21,000 from the federal government. So you can probably wait for your own. But till now,
nobody's talking about it.
And looking at how loud Nigerians are, for real, those things cannot be hidden if actually they are happening. But as it is, we can still not outrightly say they are wrong.
Because proof, we don't have proof. They themselves don't already have proof.
So if all of us don't have proof, who are we to say they are wrong? So now, the whole of the issue sits on we are sitting on defense now. We don't even know whether it is true
or not.
But one thing I have noticed about that ministry is I don't think there is anybody who had passed through that ministry without ending up with EFCC or without ending up with one corruption charges or the other. So that is supposed to send a message to you or to the general public that actually, in the real sense of it, most of those things are not done. Because if actually things are done, even if you have to go through EFCC, you will at the end of the day be vindicated, like to say you really tried and every penny is accounted for. The humanitarian affair for Buhari till today, I don't think she is able to account for a lot of billions. Better Edu is still accounting. She has not accounted.
And the account has
and this one now is using AI, which is an indication that there's possibility that he will still account when he's leaving.
Maybe they use AI to find out some of the and they are very fast with all it.
So all these things now with the I don't want to say antecedent, but with record now, that ministry had not been one of the best when it comes to managing resources over the time. So I don't want to, because I really do not have concrete evidence to say so, but over the time, with the look of things, and with the charges that had been levied against those who left that office, that ministry up until now, except for this present one, if it's able to make the difference, but over the time, that ministry had never been like good enough when it comes to management of resources, financial resources.
But then let me ask this question. If you look at it this particular way, to a very large extent, we've seen situations where issues of database and information have been a very huge problem within the country. As of today, Nigeria doesn't know its population, like fully know its population. We are still talking about the census, but the expenses that a census is going to take us, this period is going to be very heavy. Now, I'm looking at the place of our tech infrastructure.
Okay.
Looking at, we have, when it comes to human resource,
Okay.
Nigeria has, at least worldwide, Nigeria has at least people that's a sizable number, even if you talk about Africa-wise, sizable number of tech-oriented or tech-skilled experts. Nigeria has a good number that can compete with many countries all over the world.
Yes,
but
I
still,
agree.
to a very large extent, we see that this issue of database is still consistently a problem. Now, the government's making a very bold statement like this, where in the actual sense is looking most likely that we should not lie, we should say the truth and say it as it is.
Okay.
We don't really have the kind of networking within
that requires to
do that kind of assignment.
Yeah.
Now, how do we salvage out of this issue of information gathering that seems to be a big quagmire in that environment?
You see, I have always been of the opinion that the government, especially in Africa, generally, transparency, as a way of disturbing the government. They cannot just afford
to be transparent
about everything. Population census in this country cannot be done with sense of transparency. Reason why tech will not be applied in some significant places, because especially politicians, they don't even want it, because if everything is controlled and there is accuracy in number and in figures, manipulations, especially when it comes to election and other activities, will not be possible. So more reasons why transparency became an issue, so that it will be easier to just say by assumption that the north is more than the south,
the south
is less than the west is less than the south, which is a problem. Because we need to really know by figure, by number, the exact number of people at each geographical location per time, for government to be able to cater appropriately
for everyone.
Call the Inspector General of Police to sit down like this and tell you in figure at once the number of police officers that we have in this country, which is just a segment. Call the Chief of Army Staff, sit down, put all those army chiefs and tell them to account for each of their boys in number. And these are people who are supposed to have a database, so to say.
Strong one especially.
So if those segments are not properly, or so to say, documented, I'm not saying they are not, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But even at that, how much of that data is used? There are police officers in this country whose uniform are turned to brown.
That's hard.
Is there no system
that at least
that manages that? There should be number of days you use a uniform as a police officer. Whether the one is destroyed, is battered or not, is torn or not, they replace for you. But who does that? So now, if standard organizations, bodies like that could not manage
even
the information they have with AI, what is humanitarian affair now? are you we need to begin to reason things like civilized people now. I'm saying this because I want you to understand the implication of what this guy is saying. Now, I'm not trying to say police force is not doing their job. I'm not saying all the forces are. I'm just taking them as an example. So now, those people, they are just a segment of the larger society. Look at the number of police officers that we have all over the country. Now, there is somebody directly at the peak of the administration of the police force. Somebody who has information of everyone at the tip of his finger like this, because we want to believe that they have a database. If that organization has not been able to use the database and provide basic need for each and every police officer. Have you been to a police barracks? Some of the barracks recently.
Well.
Do you see how dilapidated some of those things are?
And the buildings and the
Now, if the police force had not been able to use data available to them to now begin to touch the lives of police officers to the grassroots level, tell me how humanitarian we use AI to do it.
And they can never find it, they can never locate.
That's the problem. So now, if we now begin to, if to say this man is saying by sector or by group or by, I don't know, they want to do that, well, that is achievable. It's a matter of grouping people. You must belong to a group. Then that grouping, we now use the grouping to collect your data, and we now begin to reach out to you. We now say, today we want to reach out to peasant farmers. Tomorrow we want to reach out to artisans. Next tomorrow we want to reach out to entrepreneurs.
In a segmented format.
Yes. Day after we want to reach out to small scale business owners. So if you are a small scale business owner, go to either Smidan or whatever organization and put your information down. As at that time, if your information is not there, it will be your problem. That means you were the one who didn't register. As long as, and there is no sane person who will know that something is coming
that won't go and register.
Be a part.
Not even in this country right now.
Yes.
Everybody wants straight stuff.
The issue is, that's why I said what is said is not something that cannot be done. What matters, what we really want to know is how they want to tweet. If Smidan office can be everywhere in this country by local government, if ballot paper could reach every nook and cranny of the country on election day, what is Smidan that cannot reach every local government for small scale entrepreneurs to register with the federal government for support? And humanitarian affairs do not need to stress themselves again. Go through Smidan, help whoever you want to help. Those that fall below the yardstick you want to use to measure whatever it is
I want to measure. Maybe the poverty, the poorest of the poor.
And we have done that for the small scale businesses. Look for another reliable organization like Smidan to handle for peasant farmers.
They even have the associations actually. So.
Look, some of those associations to me, well, there's limit to
what they can give out.
Yes, and how they can be trusted.
Okay.
But government at one point or the other have had reasons to set up one organization or the other to take care of these people in the time past, empower them to bring in data now. If AI is what we want to now deploy to begin to identify for people, what we need to do is to generate the data. Then now begin to use different yardstick to categorize them and then devise a means to reach out to them. Simple as ABC.
Well, simple as this thing is sometimes to the government it looks very complicated, which is something I always laugh at. But before we go down into that, the complications of things like this, especially at the government perspective, let's just take Go Start, and after Go Start, we'll come back to our discussion and just draw some conclusions from this particular discourse that we are having. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. If just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa. I hope you enjoyed Go Start. I hope you learned one or two things from there. Now it's time to progress on to our discussion today. We've been discussing about this, federal government trying to employ AI to improve our database, using AI to track the poor people within the country of Nigeria. And we've been looking at the possibilities, the genuineness of such statement by Nentawe Yewuda, who happens to be the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs actually within the country and poverty alleviation. Now, I wanted to ask a question because we were looking, you talked a bit about the police and some segment of the countries that can't even use AI to find that information from within themselves. Now they do have a proper database. I remember there was a time in this country there was a menace. That was when Buhari just became president. Then we used to have what they call the ghost workers. It was a huge menace, and we saw many Nigerians tackle the IPs, that is the IPPIS, talking about the fact that it picked some information, even though some people knew that this thing it wasn't genuine. Like the fight of many Nigerians was not genuine, because in the actual sense, many were benefiting from the lapses within the government. And you said something so profound when we talked about the census or some things. You said to find genuineness in the system, to be able to gather information, because everybody wants to just it seems we have this bragging rights problem within the country and all that. Now, with such a kind of move, we all know this minister, even though the idea looks okay, but the system right now doesn't support such an idea. Now, you talked about the fact that it's not something that can take us a long time. It's something that can be done in a short time.
Yes.
Now, if you were to advise, what then will be the first point of starting to at least achieve such a thing as information gathering, genuineness in Nigeria?
We need to start from the available information. Which one do we have already?
Currently.
Which one do we have already? Then what can we do?
To improve
The
it.
ones we have already that has a larger reach, let's say the NIN. How do we use that already?
Okay.
Then what percentage of the population possess the NIN already? Then further information can be placed on the NIN, like your work, what you do, like your job, the job you do, like and the job you do now, it has to come with a notification, maybe your letter of employment that shows that you hardly had that job, maybe with your pay slip that will require a constant upgrade as your pay increases. Then they upgrade your information on your NIN, done automatically. All these things can be done automatically, which shows that even people working in the private sector, their payments are to be routed through the federal government.
So that even anything that comes in, the government knows.
They are aware. Then it becomes easier for government to claim tax. Then at the same time, it becomes easier for workers in the private sector to be paid. You cannot be owing something you are supposed to pay
on a route,
and you are owing. How? Government will be aware that you've not been paying your workers. So all these problems, they will be solved. You will not be owing tax. We know how much you are earning, even when you are in the private sector.
And that will even reduce a bit of crime, because your boys too as well.
Yes, and you cannot be a ghost worker. Only you cannot be working in 5 places when other people don't have job. That was one of the things IPPIS cut down when it came. Only one person working in about 3 ministries, taking salary
from 3 ministries.
And some people don't have job. So your name is appearing in the Ministry of Education, you are still a secretary in the Ministry of Women Affairs. This same you is still also a clerk in the Ministry of Science and Technology.
One of the discoveries was that in some ministries, actually, they will in some, even schools particularly, they will, in some offices, they will say that they have like 15-20 staffs.
Meanwhile, they are just 3.
They are just 3 or 4 there. And someone is collecting money for the others.
For all others that do not exist. Now, all these things will not happen anymore. The database will capture, and as much as we born new children like this, the day they born you, the day your information enters into, which is subjected to editing as your status change. So from birth, the day you become student, as your information enters the database that you have started school, then your status goes to student. The day you register your first business with CAC, your status business owner. You get? Now all these things, they are possible. They have them in other places. Now it will have further advantages, especially in forensics, crime identification. Like you are a suspect in a crime scene, as they find your DNA, they run it through the database. In your house, they come and arrest you. Nobody needs to.
No stress.
No stress. No azul. They just, all these things are what a sane country should have. We find your fingerprint at a crime scene as we dey run am through the pen as they bring your name like this. No just talk
Now you
no tell us say I was only there in the morning. We don't want to get
Your fingerprint was found.
Now you.
as we dey find because he opens door
To a lot of opportunities.
to a lot of things. You cannot just commit crime and say no. Yes, if we find your kid in Lagos and you want to claim, we don't have to argue with you. Once you place a call, all we need to do is run a DNA, run it through the system. As it picks you as the father, we hand you your charge. No argument.
Paternity fraud settled.
For where? How you go do paternity? As your wife carry belle give another person like this. At birth, as we dey run the DNA, and we discover it's not the same with yours, it's just a matter of running it with the database. We identify the father. Okay, no, see, these things they make life easier. They control crime. They control a lot of things. And to reach out to people like humanitarian affairs minister wants to do now becomes easy. Look at all these things they do in the US, the benefits and every other. This is exactly how they run it. If your income is below this amount, you have access to just put your national identification number. Once we check it and we say for real, you are below this, we release the money to you.
Because I'm even scared this tax reform bill. How will you even discover those that are earning below 800,000 that will not be paying tax for
The
fees?
issue is if there is a sensible database, all those things are not issue. We know how much you are earning. You cannot lie about it. As the money is coming, it's routing through IPPIS. IPPIS is signaling us, say that guy will say na 200. No, his money is 500, it's 500, it's 500. We can't say, okay, yeah, you want to
Yes, pretender.
The issue is, it's just beyond, because everything will be interconnected. Once they declare you wanted for a crime, your name is signaled on the database. As you reach immigration like this, they blink red. As they enter your NIN like this, they blink red. Say this man is wanted. As they are looking him like this. Now, all these things they make job easier
easy for
everybody, not the humanitarian ministry alone. So I think what the government should be working towards is creating a central database for everybody. With time, they cannot achieve it at once. With time, you will see if we have all those who is a kidnapper that will not be able to identify. You cannot commit such crime. If your name is not on the NIN, you are not supposed to walk on the street. You are not moving, and you don't have a document as an immigrant into this country. What are you doing in our country to be committing crime? Why will you be staying in one bush to be? No, we will identify you. They will, by all means. Kidnappers, don't they make calls? The phone numbers they are using, are they not linked to NIN?
To NIN actually.
So
see,
why?
all these things in this country, your phone, your SIM card is not supposed to work if it's not linked to NIN. So if a kidnapper is calling the family of the victim
For ransom,
and they are not able to track the call, what about the information on the line? Okay, let's assume that they are even hiding number to make such calls. There are cyber security specialists who will they will hide all these things. But it becomes easier when there is a database to run these things with, such that as we discover you, we run through database, we see you, we see all the family related to you, your uncle, your sister, your nephew, your whatever. By the time we pack all of those first, we will locate you.
Because they will locate you.
By the time we are able to locate you, a criminal is off the street. And one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, the ones we were not able to pick, we run. And then we can begin to look into a sane society.
But then let me ask this: Do you feel giving food or cash transfers to the poorest of the poor is a good way to
eradicate
poverty or ease economic hardships?
The question is how much food and how much money.
Exactly. Does it worth it? Can you start a business with it?
How much food? How much? Because they are giving me a 2 Congo or 3 Congo of rice that I have 3 kids, 1 wife, myself. That cannot last 3 days. So after that, what happens to the poverty?
It rushes back like a mighty rushing wind.
So we, at this point, Nigeria is bigger than all these
stipend that they're giving.
Yes, and all this small thinking. We should be thinking big now. We are past the era of jollof rice and all this panta that
I'm even tired of hearing rice, actually.
We should be thinking big now. Our problems are bigger than small thinking now. We should be thinking, they will say think outside. No, we should be thinking like there's no box at all. We should be thinking. See, a lot of people that you see as jobless today is because we have not sat down to really create job where it is. Do you know why people are not jobless in all these European countries? They have more than enough to do, because almost every sector is functional. Sport is bringing employment. Everything is bringing employment. Do you know how many the European football that we watch from here? The European football that we, do you know how much these people make? How much we give to DSTV per year? How much DSTV pays them to subscribe into showing their matches to us? But what happens to our own? Do you know how much people are working with each of the teams? Players, medical personnel, coaching crew, all of them, fitness crew, they are just there. There are people in charge of their facilities. Structural engineers who are overseeing the facilities.
Everything.
They know what to put, what to remove, what to adjust per time. Then let's come to media guys, the ones monitoring all the cameras and everything that functions in the stadiums. Then let's now come to the kitchen.
Yeah, dietitian is very important.
Of all those players, they eat after every match. Then after the professionals have done their job, then they now have the many jobs for people who do the cleaning after all those players. Do you know how much job is generated by that? And each of those cities, they are major football clubs. In fact, most of the cities have more than one. Because in Manchester alone, do you know how many football clubs are in Manchester alone?
Multiples. Tier 2, League
That's
1.
sports. In fact, not the entirety of sport, football alone.
We've never talked about the basketball.
Basketball, volleyball, swimming, and
We've
other
talked about
athletics.
fashion industry.
Now look at fashion. Now look at arts. Now look at, because government is saying these people, they are not doing enough. They are not. You can't do enough. How much money do you have to even do enough? There's no individual person in this country that can do enough on their own. When you are not Dangote, how you do? Are you for real? Look at that refinery Dangote built. Do you know
How many employment it's got?
now? Apart from direct employment, let's begin to look at indirect. Around that axis, tantalizer go day.
Yeah, top companies.
Chicken rep go day.
Even the mama puts that sells
Mama put go sit day.
good amala and
Now,
nice
those are indirect employment, because people working there, they will eat. Now, we are not talking about engineers, petrochemical engineers, all of them, analysts. They have chemical analysts who analyze their product before they send them out for whatever. There are forensic analysts. There are a lot of them there. The administrative staffs, accountant, clerk, secretary, those ones are there. Security staffs. All those ones. Now, imagine that there are more of that in this country. So the bulk of the help that we really need is not in the 2 Congos of rice and 10K transfer. No. Comment, we need to grow beyond
such kind of mentality.
Sincerely, in a country that is very, very sane, humanitarian ministry is not supposed to be sending transfer of 10K to anybody. Yes, they should sincerely, they should be in the rural areas, making them develop. Like sincerely, if you really want to be humanitarian, look at IDP camps everywhere in the same country, and humanitarian ministry is still looking for poor people. Are we normal?
What was to be worse than the IDP camps?
IDP camps are everywhere, and you are using AI to identify who. How? So what is the fate of those people? Those people that were sent away
from their own
lands by insurgents, and you are not there providing them aids, and you are looking for poor people to transfer 10K to. Are you? I do not see the essence of that ministry. We need to just, because sometimes when you reason Nigeria to a reasonable extent, you just feel bad for no reason.
You lose reasons.
That's why sometimes when it comes to talking about issues in Nigeria like this, it generates a kind of bitterness, because you just feel weak for this country. God, what are we looking up to? Why are we like this? Those people into kidnapping and insurgency and all those stuffs, they eventually went into some of those things because they are not busy doing constructive things.
And if there were constructive things to do, many of them would have not.
Nobody wants to be bad. Nobody wants to be an insurgent. You don't just want to begin to kill people. No. A lot of them, they have concluded the end.
From whatever they are doing.
Yes. Most of them are not afraid of death. I need to let you understand that. Yes. If you have done well for yourself, to die, no go hungry you. I'm telling you, if you have done well for, how many of the politicians want to die? Like, they are not afraid of death. Are you crazy? If they are not afraid of death, they don't have that kind of comfort.
Security.
They don't want to die. They have done well for themselves. Do you think if majority of the people in those rural areas who are now terrorists, who are now insurgents, who are now kidnappers, if they have access to a bit, not the full package,
just
a bit
of what
those politicians have access to, do you think they want to be bad people?
Many of them just want to go to their
Some of them want to nurse career too.
Have careers, and
they want to do well. They want to have families. They want to stay in stable home where they go to work in the morning and come back in the evening. Why do you think there are no incidents of insurgencies in Europe as much as we have here? You are busy picking shifts. By the time you come back in the evening, you are tired.
Extremely tired.
You are tired. How will you be picking? For what reason now?
Shift. You are telling me I'm insurgent. For what reason?
Only you have drive Uber, you have done security, and night shift like this, you want to still do maybe like give aid to people.
And all that.
You know, aged people. Over the night, but then you are coming from that one, you are resuming to security again, and they want to invite you to a search. How? Why? What?
You even get tired.
Because you are even focused on making enough to pay house rent, to pay this, because you don't want to lose the life you are living already. Yes, you have good life, and you don't want to lose it. You are busy working to get better one, even at the good you have. A lot of people don't even have life at all. So what are they working on to get? So if you don't have life at all, how do you get better one? For somebody to zero their mind to be involved in insurgency, no, it's beyond normal.
It has gone beyond anything at all.
Now, the issue is beyond transferring. No, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't know for other people, but it doesn't make sense to me. So if humanitarian affairs is now saying they are looking for poor people, then they must be blind. Poor people are everywhere.
In fact, the average Nigerian right now
is poor.
Very sincere. We calculate everything.
You don't need a high.
You just go out on the streets.
Straight. Come on, Abuja first. Come on. In fact, what am I saying? Leave the CBD in Abuja. Leave the central business. Come to Zuba. Come to Zuba. Come to Kwali. Yeah. Come and feel it. Poor people everywhere. And you are using AI to identify who. How? Why? These are the questions. You are staying at the headquarters and you are using AI. No, leave that place. Go to Nyanya. Go and see.
You shouldn't even have a ministry that is situated in those places. Your ministry should be situated in
Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs should be in Maduguri now. Headquarters, yeah. Yes, make insurgency.
Maybe parts of some.
In fact, that minister is supposed to be sleeping in IDP camp. If truly is working, go and run his AI inside IDP camp. Let him feel it.
He will find them as soon as possible.
Sincerely, these people, they just make you feel like, sometimes they make us feel like we do not have sense of our own. We cannot think and reason things out.
Whereas we can actually, which is the truth.
It is funny to say.
Yeah.
If I were the president, that guy would be gone by now. I'm telling you. As I just hear that one say, "But he's sacked."
You don't have anything to
say. Because it sounds so silly.
But then politically in Nigeria, we all know that sacking is kind of difficult. You know, politics.
If that guy gets shame, he should have resigned by now.
I'm not even talking about resignation. Yeah, for someone like
those things they pained me. There was glitching in. Jam. The DG came, cried, did all that. I was expecting his resignation the second day.
No, the truth is, for someone like me, if you ask me about
the apology,
no, at least they did some exams back on people. The problem about Jam was that if you look at the antecedents of someone like Oloyede, because sometimes some of us rate public servants. If you look at the antecedents of Oloyede,
that guy tried. I'm not saying he has tried.
To me, if you ask me for Jam leaders in Nigeria for the past, let's say 40 years, if we were to rate them, Oloyede should be the best amongst them.
His services are duly appreciated.
But then I think it's over.
The Baba is old now. He needs to go and give way to. See, there are new and brighter minds. Are you telling me in the whole of the banking industry, in the whole of the manufacturing industry, of the educational system in Nigeria, you cannot find a sensible young mind who will continue from that where that guy will stop?
It's politics. Politics is crazy.
No, things should not be done with politics. See, this country, we are crazy. This is the country where a lawyer will be Minister of Health.
Yes. I wish you said this country.
They will not say they want to introduce the minister.
I don't understand.
And they will not say it's barrister so.
Yes.
Minister of Health.
Ow.
They will not say Minister of Work, Energy and Power. That will be
Actually, the Minister of Aviation currently is doing fine. But
in the whole of the engineering sector, there's no sensible young mind that can lead that ministry. Are we for real?
That part of the problem should be information gathering. Actually,
how much of humanitarian work has this minister done before?
We don't know.
How many humanitarian organizations in the international level have you worked with to even understand what humanitarian?
And we have people that actually work with United Nations, work with UNESCO.
And these people with these experiences are there. Nobody's even looking at them. And you are saying it's not working. How will it work? This guy should be gone by now, sincerely. I don't know if Tinubu reads all these things. Because if he reads this thing on Facebook and he reads comment that follow.
I don't want to go to the comments.
Comment section. No, Nigeria.
I felt like
the moment you see that on the comment, you are sending some letter. Leave that.
Because honestly, I looked at it because that's why we brought it over to as a show, because we had to look at.
I have read that thing today. I
read through the comment section. I read through the trends. I read through the papers. Read through people's opinions. Some people even did podcasts over this whole matter and began to talk about the fact that what is going to take, that he did not put into considerations before talking about the AI and all that. That's why I said, but like we said, we don't have proof.
No, we don't have proof.
So let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Till prove otherwise.
The issue is a lot of things had gone wrong in this country. I remember in the US during the Corona period. There was this man that gives account. I think he's like in the position of the Minister of Health for the United States. And there was an incident and he couldn't give accurate data.
Information.
He resigned that evening, not the next morning. During the Koro period, the man is a doctor. It was.
I think was it
because
Fauci or what's his name? Yeah.
Donald Trump comes every evening
To give
reports
and
about the corona breakout and what they are doing to curtail everything. And that man was not able to give small information. We are not talking about national glitch now. And the next day, he was not waiting for the sack letter. He just felt like,
but yeah, national grid falls every time.
You know how many times national grid falls?
This year alone. Last year was terrible.
Yes,
this year
times.
Well, let's just leave it at that.
And so, the minister is not gone till now.
It might still be there till 2027. We don't know. But then let's leave it at that. Actually,
by now, if Nigeria is actually sane, JAMB should be in the hands of someone younger and better with antecedent. Now, we are not saying just pick randomly. Pick people who hand it.
But like you said,
people who have worked.
We don't have the proper database yet, so we can't get information gathering like we need. That's why it's more difficult to employ. But thanks so much, Samson, for being a part of this. Our time is fast spent, actually.
Thank you so very much.
It's a mix of hilarious, factual, and very tricky. But thanks so much, actually. Really appreciate it. And to the minister, actually, we believe in the initiative you are bringing. Forget the sarcasm and all that. We believe in it. We just hope that the necessary things are put in place before we get into what you're trying to talk about, the AI and all that. And if you really need to check out poor people, come out of your comfort zone, go around the country. You don't need AI. The blind can even discover.
I think the guy came from Plateau.
Yeah, he came from Plateau, actually. So you should even understand more about what's even happening, even Plateau and all that. But then it's time to just go for sport. Let's enjoy sport a bit, and then after sport we'll come back for our conclusion. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. If just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa. Yes, I hope you enjoyed sport, but now it's time to say our goodbyes on Daybreak Africa for today. Woo! Hilarious discussion.
No, it's not our guest. No, I give it to him.
you know, sometimes tech guys actually they know these things. They know what is involved. They know what exactly can lead us to this place. So sometimes I think the minister maybe had a good idea. Maybe he just knows that there's something called AI and all that. But then maybe he doesn't really know what it entails. When we start from information gathering alone, normally it's not going to take us a lot of time. But it's going to be very...
Poor people. These are human beings we are talking about.
Human beings, actually. I want to use AI machines to find human beings.
Not everybody's even on social media. So how will you... I don't know. Just as I said, maybe just bring the minister again, asking, what's your plan? Do you have a way how do you want to go about it? So I don't understand.
We'll know with time, actually. In fact, I have more interest into it these days. So we need to find out, because I even need to know
if I'm poor or not. I want to know my status. I want to know
the poorest of the poor, those that have collected the monies before now. So we should even know. Maybe with AI, we will have good knowledge of all this. And
so you even know the category that you've
I don't even know right now, because I'm scared.
We are just praying for that. Just give us our daily bread like this, eh? We are okay.
Yeah, okay. Because the cost of living now is already costing the living too much. Cost of living is costing the living life. The cost of living is costing my life now. So
I'm not saying that looking for poor people.
But then it is well. We in fact, because of this, we have strong interest in this. I'm having strong interest in the move by the minister, actually, and I hope that the minister will be kind enough to take us through the process. So when we get the AI, we know, so that we can trace who are these poor and how the money gets to them and all that, to ensure that at least there's poverty alleviation within the country. Even though, like according to Samson, we shouldn't be thinking of that right now. We should think of better things, because than that, more of development, big things. Our problems are too big for
just giving stipends to people, all in the name of eradicating poverty. And after eating the 2 Congos of rice, what next?
After 3 days, actually.
After 3 days, what next?
Sakpa comes boom again. And all that is it's actually well. But we'll meet tomorrow on Daybreak Africa. It's going to be another very exciting topic. And yes, so my name will still remain Ikhonede.
And I'm not changing my name anytime soon. My name still remains Miracle Odunayo.
Bye, guys.